Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for what is a landmark business announcement for NASCAR. Welcome to all our fans on NASCAR.com and Facebook Live. Appreciate you tuning in. Here with us today, joining us at the front, will be Vice President of Sports Marketing for Monster Energy, Mitch Covington. Chief Marketing Officer for Monster Energy, Mark Hall. NASCAR's Executive Vice President and Chief Global Sales and Marketing Officer, Steve Phelps. And NASCAR Chairman and CEO, Brian France. You gentlemen can join us up front. Brian, you in a second. Brian, welcome, and thought we'd kick it off with you in terms of making this announcement.
Well, it's not only is it one of the most important announcements that we get a chance to make every once in a while, it's particularly nice to have our whole industry together because this is a partnership with Monster that is going to affect us all, and they're going to be a partner that it's a global brand that we took a long time to figure out. It's one of the few sales calls that I actually personally made. Because of how important it was to align ourselves with a dynamic brand that reaches different places and different audiences. And they made us feel very comfortable over time on a couple things. One was motorsports is their DNA. And when you walk through their lobby in California, you see that. You see the motorcycles and NASCAR memorabilia and all kinds of things, and that's who they are. So they understand motorsports, they understand NASCAR, they understand how to reach across and excite our core audience and help us deliver on a new audience. And that was very exciting for us. And then when we got to know the team, we understood that they understand how to execute too. And you're going to see that at the tracks, every track, all over the place. And they are going to do things that are going to be fun, they're going to be impactful, they're going to be exciting for our drivers and our teams. They're going to do things for our related sponsor agreements from a business-to-business standpoint. And then we're going to do some things for them, too, because we're going to give them a platform that they've never had before. And they're very excited about that. So needless to say, this is a partnership that we want to build on over time. It's a very difficult agreement to come to because of the complexities of it. The track component, very important. Media components, very important. All had to be sorted out. But nonetheless, we have reached a great spot, and I couldn't be more pleased to share that this important day with all of you.
All right, thank you, Brian, and I'll turn it over now to Mark Hall, if you could give us your thoughts on the new partnership as the entitlement of the NASCAR Premier Series, the naming rights for the NASCAR All-Star Race, and the official energy drink of NASCAR.
Thank you very much. First off, I'd just like to thank everyone on the NASCAR team. Whenever you get involved in this process and the negotiations, they can be trying on both sides, and I just have nothing but respect for Brian and the entire NASCAR team for their perseverance and their flexibility in working with what can only be described as a non-traditional marketing company. And they did a great job of meeting some of the requests that we made, and couldn't be happier that we got the deal done. On behalf of all the employees of Monster Energy Company, I again want to thank you guys, and we're really looking forward to a great future together. I want to assure all of our current fans, our current athletes, the other people that we endorse and have worked with for all these many years that this doesn't change anything. We're still going to be the same company we've always been. We're not going to look to, cut or get rid of people. Kurt, you're still going to drive. And we view this as a rare opportunity that doesn't come along every day. It's not. It's what, 2 sponsors in 30 plus years that have been in this position, and if you had asked me 5 years ago if I've ever contemplated something like this, the answer would be never in a million years. But it's a rare and unique opportunity to be associated with a premier professional sport, to be closely partnered with that sport, and to work together to build both of our brands. And that's what that's our intent, and we're going to work very hard to do that. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mark. We'll open it up to the media now. Just raise your hand and let me know if you want to ask a question of any of these four directed at them or at anyone specifically. So we'll start with Kenny Bruce, then we'll go to Brian, and then we'll go to Lee.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. For Brian, the RJ Reynolds relationship was about marketing the sport and get it in places where it had not been before. Sprint was, the technology that they could bring. What is it about Monster Energy that makes this the right fit? And also, how does this impact current relationships with, like, Kurt Busch, who has Monster for a sponsorship, and OS with Kyle and those guys?
Well, the last part of your question first, Mark just said that they're making their relationship bigger, and so that continues, and that's been a relationship and a position that they've enjoyed, and that's going to continue. The reality for how impactful they are and what they can do differently is obviously they're an edgy brand, they're a fun brand. They get at a millennial audience in a different way than we probably had clearly than we've ever been associated with, in particular at this level. And they know what they're doing. They understand this is their DNA. This is not something they're rolling into. And frankly, even Sprint and Nextel before them, this was motorsports and the level of commitment. That was all new to them. That took a while for them to get sorted out of how do you interact with the fan base, how do you activate at the track, how do you do media, how do you do all those things. They ended up being very good at it, but these guys are ready on day one. And even though it's December and a bit late in the game, they have the activation tools, the plans, and the people. They do it all in-house. They were very impressive when they laid out how they go about these positions in motorsports. So they're ready on day one. They're a fun brand that's going to interact with our core fans in a kind of a cool, neat way, actually. And we've seen some of the plans, and they'll get bigger and more robust as we go along. But we're very confident that this is the right partner for us, and we're looking forward to having some fun with it too. By the way, we're in the fun business. We're racing cars. We're crowning champions. This is where people come to have fun, right? Our speedways and watch us on television. And what better brand to have associated with us than the people who who understand that? And so we couldn't be more excited.
Brian Nelson with the Motor Racing Network. Brian France, Mark Hall. A little twist on two different twists on the same question. Brian, how do you believe that Monsters, you called them an edgy image, might change the culture of NASCAR? And Mark, with the other involvements that Monster has had in action sports over the years and so on, how do you plan to distinguish your involvement with NASCAR from those others?
Well, let me take that first, and then Mark can comment. But when I say edgy, I mean fun. I don't mean anything other than that. They're fun. They know how to make and a lot of plans. And when you see this unfold, they're going to interact with our fan base differently. At the speedways in particular, but all over the place. In market, they've got some robust plans. Depending on that, they're going to be the host of the All-Star race, along with obviously the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and they're going to bring a lot to that particular event as an example. And so they'll do a lot of things in a fun way.
Yeah, I think, it's not like we're doing anything different. We've been in NASCAR for a while. I was thinking back on the day we got started and how long we've thought about the sport and how we viewed it, for a while. I think it's been 9 or 10 years since Robbie Gordon was our first foray in there. I remember it was a great day for me when Robbie threw his helmet at some guy, because that was the only time I ever got it on camera. I actually called him up and said, "Robbie, can you do that some more?" And from there we took one of the athletes that have been with us many years, and we have a history of sticking with people. We have athletes that have been with us for 10, 15, and more years. Ricky Carmichael who had aspirations to drive in the Truck Series. We supported Ricky on that. A lot of people said that it wasn't a good idea, that we were not being disloyal to our current customer, or to our current fan, and I said, I don't think so. And then, obviously, we found our way into the what was then the Nationwide Series with Kyle Busch, and we went at it in a systematic way, and we were able to see the results. And it's gratifying when you spend marketing dollars and you can actually relate them back to revenue. And we think that we have enough experience in the sport to know that when we invest $1 here, that we're going to get some of that dollar back in sales. Of course, we have Kurt driving our Cup car now, and we're excited about that. He made it into the chase, did a great job for it this year. And so I see this as the logical extension and a rare opportunity, as I said earlier, that happens not too often. And this is no different than some of the other sports we got into. We started in a small way. We learned how to do it correctly and how to make it work in our way. And then we ended up as either the principal sponsor or a primary team sponsor, like in MotoGP or something of that nature. We're with Mercedes and Formula One. So to us, this is, to me, this isn't unusual. It's a logical extension of what we started 9 years ago. And we're fortunate that this opportunity came around and that NASCAR considered us and that we were able to get the deal done.
Okay, we'll go next to Lee. We'll go to Jeff for USA Today, and then we will go to Brad Keselowski of Team Penske. No, just kidding, Brad. You do not get any questions. Bob Pockras from ESPN, but let's start first with Lee.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. Can someone address the terms of the deal? Specifically, how many years do we anticipate Monster will be the premier sponsor or premier series sponsor? And secondly, with the activation you all have done towards millennials at motocross, other entities, what types of events are you looking at having at the track that are going to bring the kids to the racetrack?
I'll answer the term part. It's a multi-year agreement with some options, and we never get into the specifics of contracts, but beyond contracts, our most important thing is to build a good partnership, and that transcends most partnerships. Every partnership we've ever had in this category, which is only 2, were always extended and always went on for a long time, and that's our hope here.
Yeah, in regard to the activation, we have sort of a unique way of doing things that we've learned over time. The guys managing the company are the same guys that we've all been here 20 years. Rodney Sachs, Hilton Schlossberg, and myself have been around since 1997 selling energy drinks. Monster's been around 15 years, and we're still there doing it, taking advantage of what we learned. When you go into a competition, the other team sort of knows what you're going to do, but it wouldn't be smart of me to give them my playbook. So we do have some ideas about how we can make NASCAR more attractive to what I would call a different audience than is currently there, without detracting from what is already a great fan base and a great audience. And as I mentioned earlier, we've had experience with that, and we've seen that those fans do relate to our brand, and we think there's an opportunity to bring some new ones in as well.
All right, we'll go to Jeff, we'll do Bob, and then Jerry Jordan.
Jeff Gluck from USA Today. I may have totally missed this, and I apologize if so, but have you determined the name for the series yet? Is there an actual name?
We are working on the exact composite logo and otherwise, and we'll be back shortly on that. It won't be long, but we've got some really good. We've got some real good options on that.
And
Not
then
today.
for Mark, since the NASCAR audience is a little bit of an older audience, perhaps compared to what you're usually marketing toward, do you see yourself going for those people as well? I know you talked about bringing the young fan into NASCAR, but will you go after sort of the existing fan base as it is?
Well, when you say old, you got to think about who you're talking to. They don't seem that old to me. So there's 2 answers to that question. Young people set trends in fashion, and then older people adapt. Now, I don't want to say old. Fashion is set by a small group of influencers. The challenge is to make your product relevant to that group and then have them influence the others. And if we've been successful in the past, we've followed that model. I think we have a lot of drinkers in the current NASCAR fan base. I think we can make the sport more interesting to some younger consumers as well.
All right, we'll go to Bob, Jerry, and then Wolfgang.
I have two questions. First, for Brian, there have already been reports that this deal is much less than what you were getting from Sprint. Is there any significant adjustments that you'll have to make as far as operating the series, if that's true?
No, it's a different kind of agreement for sure, in that it's got activation in different ways and media in different ways. But we're quite pleased with with the agreement, and no, there'll be no changes at all. Matter of fact, I think you're going to see some additional activation, additional things that will occur. So this is more, not less, in that regard.
And for Brian and Mark, I'm not sure who wants to take it, but how does this impact any sort of marketing toward youth, and do you have any limitations on what you can and can't do?
Well, we don't have, obligations in that regard per se. I mean, obviously there's a certain approach that we're comfortable with, and we wouldn't be partners with Mark and his team without an understanding of that, and they feel the same way. They're very respectful, by the way, because they know the heritage of this sport, and they know things that we would feel comfortable with and things we wouldn't, and we've actually had no disagreements on that whatsoever. Mark, I don't think we've had one.
Yeah, I'm hoping you're going to ask that question one more time.
Do you have any restrictions on what you can do as far as marketing to youth because you're in an energy drink and
Yeah, I mean, our company has standard guidelines about the bottom age at which we market, and that's not inconsistent with what we're hoping to do with our involvement here. And it's just really, it's being responsible.
All right, we'll go to Jerry back here, and then over to Wolfgang.
Jerry Jordan, Performance Racing Network, and Kicking the Tires. Mr. Hall, in the courtship of this agreement with NASCAR, Monster has such a reach with so many other properties. Can you talk about why NASCAR was the sport you chose to continue and to grow your company with, and what benefits you think in the long run all of the fans of NASCAR will receive?
Well, because we do market in a non-traditional way, we count on our athletes and our endorsers, and to a certain extent our fans to do our marketing. One component that our primary competitor utilizes that we haven't is media. They routinely buy traditional television and traditional media, and we never have. We haven't never created a commercial or an ad. We've done different things that we've been successful getting a lot of eyeballs on. But I think looking at this opportunity in this close partnership to where our names are linked so synonymously, we're thinking that this is for us is a way to do traditional media. The reach of the connection and the partnership is going to be unique for us because our names will be closely associated, and every time you say NASCAR, we hope we're going to say Monster Energy.
Go ahead, Wolfgang.
Question to Mr. Hall, Wolfgang Monse, Rennsport Press Agency from Germany. You just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, outside the NASCAR world, you're involved in Formula One. As a title sponsor, your company is heavily involved with the World Championship of Rallycross. And through this involvement in Europe, and also last weekend I saw this at the final Rallycross World Championship event in Rosario, Argentina, you easily kicked Red Bull out of the market. Are you planning to do the same here in America?
That's you, Mark.
Are you available for employment? Well, I like your attitude about Red Bull. We're in a competitive industry, and to the extent we can, we can get a leg up on our competition, of course we like that. You look at what Red Bull does in Formula One, and I'm not going to say anything negative about a really good competitor, by the way, but it's clearly they're heavily invested in that sport. We're doing it a slightly different way. Happy to have our driver Nico Rosberg win the championship this year. He succeeded our prior champion Lewis Hamilton. So, yes, we like to win and we like to beat our competition. And I think this will help? Yes, I think it will.
All right, do we have any further questions from the media? If not, I'll wrap it up actually, because I'd like to have Mitch comment. Obviously very closely involved in this relationship.
David, one thing,
okay.
if I may, I also want to, I should have did this in my open remarks. I want to thank members of the tracks that are here, and Marcus, Lisa, and John Saunders, and many others who are with us today, because they rallied to help make this partnership work the way it needs to work. And so did many of the teams, team owners, and drivers behind the scenes were helping us try to figure this out together. And as I said earlier, it's a complicated agreement. I wanted to thank all of them, because without that, it doesn't matter what NASCAR thinks is important. They have to believe it's important, and they did. And I wanted to personally thank each and every one of them that played a role in that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Brian.
I'm going to second that and make one final point. I told my boss I would, and he's probably listening. There's been some confusion in the media about the ownership of our company. I just want to reiterate that we're an independent company. We have been from the beginning. We're publicly traded. Our symbol is MNST. The Coca-Cola company has an investment in our company that they, like any other investor, could make. They have no day-to-day management. The decision to get involved in the NASCAR program and to do the sponsorship was solely ours. And certainly we respect them as our distribution partner, but it wasn't them, it was us.
Well, I'm going to draft off of Brian's comments for you, Mitch, and thanking the tracks and teams in the industry. How do you see the activation spreading beyond NASCAR itself to the wider industry?
Well, my grandmother told me that it's a sad rooster that won't crow. And we've got some unbelievable athletes that we're going to expose to NASCAR and bring over that, worldwide and globally. And we want to make all of our athletes a part of our NASCAR effort and our activation. We also want to bring some good shows and good entertainment for the NASCAR fans so they can interact with our brand and understand what our culture is all about. So when they leave the racetrack on Sunday, they've had an experience. And of course, they will have met the fabulous Monster Energy girls. And so we're going to have a lot of fun at NASCAR, and both in the parking lot and inside the oval. So, but I too need to thank some people that's done an unbelievable job for our team. Many of you have seen them around, but Carrie Cellini has kind of headed up our NASCAR activation effort since for the last 5 years. Probably wouldn't be here if she hadn't done such a good job. So stand up, Carrie. I want you to stand up. Yeah. So, and Kurt Busch is here today, and I'm going to say it right now. Kurt Busch is absolutely one of the top athletes of any kind that we've worked with ever, and we want Kurt to be around for a long time. So I want to thank Kurt. He's done an unbelievable job as a brand ambassador, and he's a pretty good wheelman as well. So again, we're really thankful to have the opportunity. We can't wait to hit the red button and see what happens and go hard. So.
Thank you, Mitch. Steve, obviously you talked to a lot of different brands getting to this one. Give us a little bit of a sense of how you ended up here today with this brand.
Sure. It's David, we had the opportunity to go out and talk to hundreds of brands, actually. And the great thing about having this opportunity, which we haven't had in 13 years, after our wonderful partners from Sprint and Nextel before them, we got to go out in the marketplace and talk about NASCAR. And tell our story, tell the successful things that are happening with our sport. And our sport has changed a lot in that 13 years. And so it gave us an opportunity to speak to great companies. Many of those companies are going to be new to NASCAR. And they're going to bring their dollars to NASCAR, their activation to NASCAR, their brands to NASCAR, to tracks, to teams, to drivers, to our media partners. So that's been a really important thing for us. I know that the industry was starting to get a little bit nervous about the timing of this. think the timing is actually perfect. We didn't step on our championship, and what happened in crowning a 7-time champion? We didn't step on our existing partner, and we were very, very patient to find the right partner. And that right partner is Monster Energy. And so we couldn't be any happier to have them as part of our team, extend the relationship that they have with Stuart Haas and Joe Gibbs Racing. So welcome, gentlemen.
All right, I want to have, since we do have the industry here to join us, we're going to have a toast. So if you give us a couple minutes, if you guys can stand up, we're going to remove the chairs and remove the microphones, and we're going to do a toast, and we want you all to join in, obviously with the right drink in your hand. You guys going to come up? Yes. Mics. Hold on, we're passing out the drinks. Can't do it. Yes. Hey, Brent. Brent. All right, toast, Brian and Mark. Hold up your drinks. Toast the NASCAR industry. Congratulations to everybody here today.